Alright guys, just a couple more graphs in standard form to keep practicing. So following our steps for graphing success, here I have something in standard form because I got an x squared, x, no x. And so step number 1 is going to be to find that vertex by doing negative b over 2a. So I'm going to have negative 4 over 2 times 1 because there's no number up front, which overall that's just going to be negative 2, which is also my AOS. Then to find the vertex, we're going to take that negative 2 and then plug it in. So when I plug it in for x, we'll have negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 1. So negative 2 squared is 4 minus 8 plus 1 is going to be negative 3. So let's get graphing a little bit. We're kind of in the negatives here, so I'm going to use less of the positive region. So I'd plot negative 2 comma negative 3. Axis of symmetry is going through that. And then I also have my slope that I can use, so use A as slope once. Sorry, my voice kind of cracked there. That was weird. So my slope is 1, so I'll go up 1 over 1. So I can already see that my graph is going to have a minimum because we're pointing up. And then so second thing we did was A is slope once. And then third thing we can do is find and plot our y-intercept. So that'll be 0, 1. And we can flip that over, put it on the other side. Super cute parabola. Okay, let's try another. So sometimes I like to throw ones in where numbers are missing. So we kind of did one like that in the other video where the b value is missing. In this one, I think our c value is missing, which means since it's a number being added or subtracted, will be 0. So step number 1, we want to find and plot that vertex. So we're going to do negative b over 2a. So negative 3 over 2 times negative 1. It's not going to reduce very nicely. This is going to have my axis of symmetry at 3 over 2, which is 1.5. However, I feel like for the vertex, I kind of want to leave it as a decimal when I'm finding that y value. I think it'll just work out a little nicer. So when I plug it in, we're going to have negative 3 over 2 squared plus 3 times 3 over 2. So the reason I say that this is easier is because 3 over 2 squared I know how to do. I just square each part. If it was 1.5, that would be harder for me. So we're going to have negative 9 over 4. And it is negative because the negative is not being squared, just the x value. And then when I add here, or multiply here rather, we're going to have 9 over 2, which I can't add these right now, but if I change this 9 over 2 to 18 over 4, like if I just double everything, then I can. And so when I add those up, I'll actually have 9 over 4 for my vertex y value. I'm going to sneeze. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So let's get graphing a little. We want to plot our vertex at 3 over 2, so that's 1.5, comma 9 over 4. So 9 over 4, like 4 goes into that 2 times with a little extra. So this is kind of funky. We're like in the middle of a square, sort of actually kind of lower than middle, but I also have my line of symmetry going through there. Then I can use my a value as slope once, so negative 1, which tells me we're going to be going down, and I will have a maximum value. Now, kind of the tricky thing, I have to go down 1. So like I'm going to end in sort of the middle of a square again, and then I'm going to go over 1. This is going to put me in the middle of a square again. And then I want to flip that over, put it on the other side. And then thirdly, we want to find that y-intercept, which There is no C value, so that means it's at 0. So we can plot 0, 0. And then I'm like 1.5 away from that line, so I go 1.5 on the other side. So that's a fun little parabola. Interesting little one. There you go. Okay, last one to try. Also has some weirdness going on because of a fraction situation. First thing to find is that AOS at negative b over 2a. So negative 3 will be 3 over 2 times the a value, which is 3/4. So like, try not to freak out about the double fraction. We're going to go down here and just do the math. So the 2 and the 4 will divide out to 2. And so what I have now is 3 over 2. And we don't really divide fractions. We multiply by their reciprocals. So this is going to turn into 3 times the reciprocal of this, which is 2 over 3. So it actually all works out really nicely. My axis of symmetry is 2. Love that. The vertex, part of it right now is 2. The other part of it, we got to plug her in. So we'll have 3 over 4 times 2 squared minus 3 times 2 plus 2. So 2 squared is 4. Multiplied by the 3/4, the 4s will actually divide out, and you have 3 minus 6 plus 2, so negative 1. Okay, so let's get graphing this a little bit. Boop, boop. So we got vertex at 2, negative 1, axis of symmetry going through that. Then we can use our slope, which is 3/4. So from here, we can go up 3/4 and then over 1. Flip it over, put it on the other side. And then the last thing that we can do to make our parabola look real nice, although I can already tell right now I have a minimum because this parabola is pointing up, is get that y-intercept, which is going to be at 0, 2. And then flip it over and put it on the other side. Now, one thing to kind of notice that I just think is super fun facts is as we're going through, once we have the vertex x value and you plug it in, there's sort of a pattern that always happens with your first 2 numbers. So like when I simplified, I had a 3 and then a negative 6. This one's a little less easy to see because it's fraction land, but if I go back to the other one, we had 4 and negative 8. And then if we kind of go back to the fraction one just to see, you have a negative 4 or 9 over 4 and then a 9 over 2. And I don't know if you guys see what's going on there, but what is always happening is that these numbers are double and opposite. So like if that first value is 7, then I know that the next one should be negative 14. So that it kind of makes my math faster. Or like if I know that the first one is negative 1, then I know that that second value has to be 2 because it's going to be double and opposite. So it's a good way to like check to make sure that you have the right axis of symmetry and that you're doing all your math correctly. So fun facts and good luck graphing.